Hey everybody! So, the first week, and I completely forgot to actually hit record. So, we're just doing a quick recap for the amazing first session that we had.
uh, so, well, like I said, my name's Nathaniel. I've been meditating for 5 years. I've been studying it, researching it, and practicing not only for myself, but family and my wife as well. And we're doing this because I've noticed a profound change in our lives in so many different ways, from being a better person to having more time, to being more present, to being able to earn more money, to being better at the sports that I love, which is super cool. So that's part of the reasons why I want to teach people how to do this, because it's just so profound in our lives and made such a big difference. The definition of meditation is to just think deep, to sit with yourself and think deeply for a period of time. So that's kind of, if you think about that, it's sitting with yourself and thinking. How many of us actually spend time to do that? To shut off the phone, to turn off the screen, to put yourself away from other people and just be with yourself? The answer is not very many of us. But what you'll notice is when you start doing that, you are able to think more clearly, and you are able to be a better version of yourself. And it doesn't matter whatever goal it is that you want, these things are going to be a lot more attainable for you. This is the foundation, the framework to building that. So meditation to me is being present with yourself and taking time to fill up your own cup. And most of us don't do that, and that's why this is so important to me, and that's why we're sharing this, is because it can help so many people. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you like, don't like, what team you're on. None of that's relevant, because anybody can do this anywhere at any time, which is so fascinating and why I love it so much.
Absolutely. And for me, it helps. When I first started meditating, I felt I was doing it wrong, because I couldn't slow down. My fingers were like wiggling, my toes, my feet would be kicking, my eyes they would flutter, because I couldn't, my nervous system was so keyed up that my body's responses was to just keep wiggling. So it was challenging for me at first. It really was, but I stuck with it, and I am beyond grateful. I've meditated in the past. In my mid-20s, I went through a pretty anxious period, and I used meditation to get out of it, but I stopped for over a decade. And then when I met Nathaniel, and he was already meditating and practicing daily, I started meditating with him. And now it's gone to the point where I notice it when I don't. And there's still days where I might nap, or I'm just processing thoughts, ping pong popcorn thoughts that I'm just processing. I'm not chasing them, but I'm processing them. And then there's days where I'm hyper focused and I have a goal and I can see a vision and I am focused on what that's going to look like for me, and everything in between. And that's why we did this, because it's not, Nathaniel has said this, where it's not you don't have to set up gongs and incense and sit cross-legged and go om.
But I can't even sit cross-legged.
No, you can't. You can't. But you can if you want to. Absolutely, all of those things have benefits.
Totally.
But we just sit and close our eyes and have a guided meditation.
Absolutely. And the cool part about what you were sharing, and this is the kind of our lesson, or the benefit that we're going to talk about today, that we went today in the lesson. And I was I'm always going to try to bring some science back into this, and some just some more benefits, and then we're going to go into the lesson for the day and the practical aspect of it. But the benefits being the sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system, and the stimulation you get there from meditating, and how that helps with that. So the cool part is that with your like Emily's talking about, when she's having those twitches, that's your sympathetic nervous system. So your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. That's meant for running, fighting, exercising, which is amazing and so great that we have that. But the downside is that we get stuck in that state a lot of times. We get very from stimulation from screens, from movies, from TV ads, from phone, whatever it is, we get stimulated by that. Not only that, but even our own thoughts can lead us into that, anxiety, or worried about this guy, or worried about that person, or whoever said this. It can cause us to be in that fight or flight state, which being in that state all the time is not good. Actually, you have a lot of side effects, negative side effects. On the flip side, you have your parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest, or your feed and breed nervous system. So everything involved with feeding and breeding, so your digestive tract, your reproductive organs, your hormones, all that kind of stuff is stimulated when you're in that rest and digest, or that parasympathetic is activated. Again, the problem is we're so stuck in being stimulated all the time, because every time we get stimulated, we get that rush of cortisol and adrenaline, and our body gets the energy and we feel excited about it. And our bodies actually get addicted to that, which is part of the cycle we're trying to break here. But we get addicted to that. And what we want to do is have more of that parasympathetic. So that is stimulation through the digestive tract, through the reproductive organs. And, again, just to keep it short, there's just some of the small benefits from that. So that's kind of the big benefit we're talking about today, and what I want you to focus on and think about while you're practicing these meditations during your week, is that we're trying to be more calm and to down-regulate our nervous system, so that way we can heal, we can be more present, we can remember things better, we can digest our food properly, we can heal, we can let our hormones flow through our bodies properly, and not just cortisol and testosterone and adrenaline. So the lesson for today is that there's no wrong way to meditate. As Emily said, she was, had all these different reactions, thoughts everywhere, twitching, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. And like she said, you don't need the gong, you don't need to chant. Again, I can't even sit cross-legged to do this. Being present is being quiet within your own life and just not moving, and then closing your eyes and just being inside your brain, because we're inside our own minds all the time. We're in there 24/7. So my question to you is, how much time do you invest in your mind being present with yourself? Because we sure spend a lot of time and money and energy on cars, where we live, our clothes, what we want people to think we are. But what about us and how we want to think about ourselves? To me, that's way more important.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're doing this. And that's why I'm so excited about this and to share this with you. So again, just to remind yourself that there is no wrong way to stop and just not do and be with your own thoughts quietly in your own mind. Whether that means you're lying down. For the first year when I meditated, I would lie down. I'd sit down and I'd actually fall asleep. It took me forever, and the very first few times my brain switching. I don't have any time for this, because I had kids, had to clean up and working and all that sort of stuff. And then I started to fall asleep because I realized I was so exhausted. Now I look at it. But there is no wrong way.
Because if you're napping, it's just that's what your body needs in that moment.
Absolutely.
And that's okay.
Yeah, and if you're finding you're having these thoughts and you're like, my brain can't stop, that just means your brain needs to process some stuff, and that's okay too.
You just the key to that is, if you're having those popcorn thoughts and you're having all these thoughts go through your mind, don't chase one.
Yes.
Try and just see them there and then let them go, and then maybe the next one comes and you let that go. If they keep cycling like that, that's a-okay, you're processing. It's when you start focusing on that thought that it changes the direction of what the meditation can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing there is, I find a lot of people get in, I can't think of nothing. Well, your brain is designed to think and do, right? So think of nothing takes a huge amount of practice. And I don't think that's a great place to start. I wouldn't recommend it. What I would recommend is putting your focus on your breathing. Because most of us don't breathe properly or breathe enough. We get short breath from up here because we're stressed and we're in that fight or flight all the time. And again, we're there, whether it's traffic, whether it's an argument, whether it's a thought in our own head because somebody, my coworker or my partner, said this thing about me and I'm angry. We can get ourselves in that state so easy. I know I used to do it all the time and it was awful. So there is no wrong way. And when you are in that time when you are going to meditate, put your attention into your breathing.
Yes.
As best as you possibly can. And just setting that time for yourself is a win. So even just by doing that, you're winning. It's a great job there. And lastly, I think, Emily, you're going to discuss just how to set up for that.
Yeah, so the meditation that we're sending you is a quick 5-minute meditation. And really it's just about sitting up and being present with yourself. And you want to have some support, like if you're sitting up, like have some support. You want to be comfortable, right? You don't want to be feeling like a pain in your body as much as possible. And then do the meditation and really focus on the breath. That's the point to start. Mm-hmm. And when you do come back, if you're playing it like on like a computer screen or something like that, when you come out of the meditation, don't look at the screen right away. You actually want to focus on something outside of it, because it helps you come back into your body without looking at something external and seeing that stimulation. So you want to focus on a tree, or if you're in a house, like a picture or something in the distance, and then slowly bring yourself back to the screen, if that's what you're doing. And we'll be doing the same thing, you know, the same kind of thing when we meet up next week. We'll meet first and we'll just do a few breaths together as a group, and then come back to the screen and get started.
Absolutely. So again, my challenge for you for this week, if you weren't able to make the meeting, is to, you know, can you invest in your own mind, in your own self, in your own being for 5 minutes every day? Can you take that time to do that? Because I promise you 5 minutes isn't that much. And once you do 5 minutes and you really get good at it, you want 10, 20. And, you know, in a year, you might want an hour and a half. Right? And it seems like a lot, but we can go into more of the details about what that looks like and how that feels. But for now, it's just 5 minutes. And putting yourself first, filling up your cup first, you know, being present with yourself and your thoughts, and giving your body what it needs for 5 minutes every day. And then next week, I want to hear, you know, and as you go through these, I want you to know how you felt before and how you felt after. Yeah. Were you stressed about work? What about the kids? Maybe it was money. Maybe it was a job. Maybe it was a relationship, or just things that are going on in the world. Note how you felt before, and then make a mental note of how you feel after, and then we can talk about it when you come back next week. Yeah. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for putting the energy and time into just listening to this, and to being with yourself, and being, you know, putting yourself first, and wanting to, you know, do that, because you're the most important person in your world. No matter what anybody else says or thinks, you're the most important, as every other individual is. They're the most important person in their world, so invest in that. You spend 100% of your time with yourself. So, like, invest in that. Absolutely. Okay. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye. Bye.